Hi, I'm Stephanie and I'm from Christchurch, New Zealand. And I am very fortunate that I got to work with Celeste Tuck. And oh my gosh, I can't even remember what life was like before I started working with her. So what happened was I was prepping for a competition. Then 2 weeks out, when I was on the crux of my prep, the show got cancelled. And I was just so eager to get onto that stage that I committed to another show 14 weeks out from that point. And I got a month into that prep and I was just yo-yoing. Like I was just going round and round in circles. I would have a weight of just say 63.4 and then I'd increase back up to 63.7 and then I'd drop back down to 63.4. And it was just a huge struggle and I was finding it quite hard, and I was in the context of being restricted. And I just got really anxious and overwhelmed and really upset at myself, and really wanted to focus on my mental mind frame going into the second prep. So I contacted her, and then shortly after I started working with her, I made the decision not to do a show. And so Celeste really helped me with my mindset and my transition from going full-on prep to being reverse dieted. And, you know, the reverse dieting lacked integrity heaps. I didn't follow the plan 100%. And she got to help me through the mental mind frame and the mental spaces that I went through due to my lack of integrities, and also my thought patterns around food, because I'm also an ex-anorexic and binge eater from like 5-7 years ago. And so during this period, all of those thought patterns were coming up really strongly. And so she got to help me through that. And how she improved my life. The biggest thing is really acknowledging that even when there's a plan in place, sometimes you aren't going to have 100% integrity. And it's just being able to acknowledge the actions that you took, acknowledge the reasoning behind those actions, like why did you take those actions, learn from what it was that had you take those actions, and then recommit to your goals. And instead of like my usual where I would indulge in the action, and then be riddled with guilt, shame, embarrassment, I'd start self-loathing myself, start hating myself. What I ate, if it was off the plan, would then, I would automatically feel fat. I would automatically be body checking. I would automatically be feeling fat. I would be hating myself. What else? It would determine my future food actions for the day, and also would determine how I felt and how I was being in life. So if I'd eaten off my nutrition plan, if I was out of integrity with my nutrition, everyone around me knew, because I was this arrogant, righteous person picking on everyone because I was just so angry and upset at myself, that I then projected it on others around me. And so Celeste really gave me the freedom to be able to make mistakes and then learn from them. And it's been very freeing, to the point that I'm happy to eat whatever I want, and I haven't binged in this period. I've been very conscious to what I'm eating, and so the weird feeling is I have overeaten. Like I've had large portions of just say ice cream for fun on my date nights and stuff. But I've been conscious to every mouthful. And with that consciousness, I've subconsciously or unconsciously eaten less. However, having the same experience of eating more than enough, and I've maintained my weight, give or take a couple of kilos, which is extraordinary to think that my body can cope with that sort of thing. And it is all about mind frame. Like my mind frame was determining how I felt. And this freedom is just great. I can allow myself to have fun and eat off the plan, but consciously. And it's beautiful. And one of the things I love about the work that I did with Celeste was, like, we had to do a mealtime ritual before every meal. And one of the questions that gets asked is, does it move you closer or further away from your goals? And I had a vast range of goals, like, one's related to my body, one's related to doing a show next year, goals in relation to building a community, being an awesome nurse, etcetera, etcetera. And so I get to just say, have this piece of brownie. And yeah, I get to say that it moves me further away from maintaining my weight, further away of having integrity with my nutrition plan, further away of getting closer to that stage in May. However, it moved me closer to having a social life, having fun, having freedom, learning how foods react with my body. So even though it moves you further away from some goals, it moves you closer to other goals, which makes it really exciting. to think that food doesn't always have to be about one aspect of your life. It can transfer into other aspects. And it was just really cool to see that and get that it's not all about body image. And you can have fun with food and yeah, I hope that's translating. And Celeste, oh man, I have multiple coaches. I have a nutrition coach. I have a personal trainer. I have a life coach. I have Celeste, and I have a business coach. So I have many coaches, but far out. Celeste is 157.9347662% available. You know, I would message her every night with my daily reflection. She'd always get back to me, acknowledge what was awesome. Get curious with no judgment, ask me questions so that I can reflect further, then I would get back to her about that. So she really created an opening for self-reflection, an opening for self-discovery, and with no judgment. And she was just absolutely beautiful to work with. Like, I really felt like I was her only client. I really felt like she was my friend rather than a paid client-coach relationship. Just extraordinary. I've never worked with someone who occurs and is so available to her clients. And I want to keep working with her. And it's just extraordinary. Like, I've been listening to her podcast since I can't even remember, maybe when it first started. And I'm tearing up because I'm just so moved by who she is as a person. I'm this Joe Blogs that lives here in New Zealand, and Celeste to me is someone who's extraordinary, who has an amazing podcast, and I follow her on Instagram and stuff. So she's like she's my famous person, you know? Like, if I was to see her on the street, I would just assume that everybody would wave at her like they would the Queen. And for me to have the privilege to be able to work with her and actually feel like a friend and feel like someone that she wants to dedicate time to, irrespective of whether I paid for it or not, I really felt like she was there for me 150%. And it just humbles me to think that someone who I think so dearly actually feels that I'm worthy enough to spend time with. And yeah, her coming into my life couldn't have come at a better time. And I'm definitely wanting to spend more time with her and work with her for more. And yeah, I words can't actually express how awesome she is and the freedom that she's given me. There's still more lessons to be learnt. There's still more discovery, and there is no one else I would rather do it with than with her and her support. Yeah, so that's me. Touching the hearts and lives of people in New Zealand. Like, that's extraordinary that a human being can do that. So thanks, Celeste.